Hello and welcome to The Bunker. My name is Marila Conte, and I have to say, I love a good prank. I don't mean the stupid stuff people do to their partners on YouTube and TikTok. I mean high effort, high reward, really weird pranks. Like, for example, selling the urine of Amazon drivers on Amazon and turning it into a bestseller. Or maybe lying about having a restaurant in your shed at the back of your garden, then making that restaurant the highest rated in London on TripAdvisor. Basically, what I'm saying is, I really like the work of Oobah Butler. It's absurd and funny, and usually has a point. I'm delighted to be joined by him in the studio today. Hi, Oobah.
Hi, how's it going?
Well, very well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So The Great Amazon Heist came out last year on Channel 4 and was arguably your most high-profile project to date. In case listeners haven't really heard about it, could you talk us through the idea briefly?
Yeah, so it's, like a special, so 50 minutes. Came out in October, and it's basically me, I guess, fucking with Amazon. Can I swear?
You can swear. It's
okay.
fine. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Sorry, should have asked before. Me messing with Amazon, and they're kind of it's like a kind of variety of different bits that I do that kind of broadly like look at different parts of the company. Like I work undercover at Amazon. As you say, I mess around with piss. I do a segment that's on like the safety of their platform.
Oh, nice. The nice section.
Yeah, exactly. Which is using my my nieces to help me and my to assist me in kind of ordering stuff they shouldn't be able to order from Amazon. And then then a stuff about tax and tax avoidance. So it's like a pretty. There's a lot packed into 50 minutes, but that's basically it. It's a silly film, but trying to deal with something serious, I guess.
But yeah, no, that's fun. So actually, why did you decide to go after Amazon? Like, as you said, from like every possible angle you could think of, like why them? Yeah,
I don't know. I think that the interesting thing about Amazon was just how much of a presence they've kind of become in everybody's lives. It's sort of mainly, I guess, in the West, but over the past sort of since the pandemic. And it's just, I think that I've found interesting about Amazon is that the kind of involvement is very physical. Like a lot of people have worked for them now in this country. Like a lot of people see their boxes on street corners. A lot of people use them. Like, I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of very in our faces, and it was. And I started the film as someone who used Amazon all the time, and liked the idea of trying to. I don't know. It just felt like they were someone, if you call them a target. It was like very much punching up.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
And I think everyone kind of has a feeling that they don't quite play by the rules. So it was like, for me, like an intrigue, like we simultaneously, a lot of us use them. But also we accept that like they might not be doing everything quite right.
But so actually, so on this note, like who were the pranks kind of aimed at? Because, and obviously you rate your work, but it's fair to say that Amazon's execs were probably still sleeping soundly after the show was aired. So who were you trying to get to? Like what, was it people buying stuff on Amazon? Was it, perhaps just trying to get to Amazon? Like who were you trying to reach there?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a friend who's a tech reporter in the US, and they were at an offsite in Seattle when this all was going out. And they got briefed by like the top brass. That's fun. Yeah, I know, it's good. That's about nice. This film. But I don't know really. I'm not 100% sure whether I kind of went into it with a certain set of goals. I wanted to ultimately make something that was good and entertaining, first and foremost. But I think I wanted it to cut through, and that's like down to like how the ideas are generated or how they come up with. Like, I wanted it to cut through, and I think that like we had Fox News reporting on it, and their kind of headlines were all like gross corporate culture at Amazon, and then equally like Jeremy Vine being like,
all the lads.
What's this exactly? Or like. Who was another one? Like the Australian One Show had me on, and like I don't know. I feel it. I feel like everything, as someone who came sort of built a career online, I always kind of have a sense that like it needs to have some sort of impact in the news and stuff like that for it to feel good, as well as being a piece of entertainment. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it was. The film wasn't about like delete your Amazon account.
Yeah,
it's definitely not that. It was like, can I kind of create enough stuff that might stick to Amazon in some people's minds, And ultimately, I guess the pressure in a dream scenario is there's pressure on them.
I actually don't buy stuff from Amazon. So
Really?
I feel so
Wow.
smug recording them. No, thank you, Ella. Here I am recording this at the top of my very high horse. So this is actually the stage at which I get slightly creepy. So I started actually following your work back in 2016, I think. So I think the first piece I remember from you on Vice, I think we're kind of moving in similar online circles at the time, was the time you brought a microwave to the cinema to make your own popcorn. And then I think shortly after that as well, when you built your own sex robot called the Oobah. So what can you talk a bit about those kind of like very early days of like pranking for Vice?
I kind of knew that you wanted to talk a little bit about this older stuff, so I like went back yesterday through my old Vice stuff, and it is like I've forgotten about loads of it, and it was really fun, and like what I think the funniest thing for me is that that was actually how I was making my living. So it was like I had to write like 3 or 4 of these pieces a month to pay my rent when I was living in the shed at the time. That's where I lived, in that shed, and like. You know, it was £900 a month with my partner, half it. You know, that's how much I knew I had to earn. And I think that maybe there's like there may be a sense or feeling that like, if someone is making silly stuff like this, that maybe they're like just a posh kid who, you know, can do whatever they want without any thought about like any consequence. It definitely wasn't that. Yeah. And this was weird. It was like what I find funny is that this was my job. And it was like, so like I went back through and was like, highlighted a couple that stuck in my mind, was like, the omelette du fromage one. I did one, you know, the episode of Dexter's Laboratory, where he accidentally kind of tricks himself into only being able to say omelette du fromage. I did that for a day, isolated everyone in my life. Smuggling myself on a suitcase to get around a train fare.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
There you go, yeah. Oh. And I guess in the broader, basically they would come to me and be like, you know, Uber, have you got any ideas about this? And I'd be like, oh.
So were you kind of the newsroom weirdo, where like someone got a really weird idea and was like, where's Uber?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I think that, like, you know, if anyone thought, who's got a low enough opinion of themselves to do this? But no, I mean, and I was just grateful because I tried to be a musician and failed, and I didn't go to uni or anything like that. So I was kind of I came to London just because I wanted to be here, because it was exciting. Yeah. And then this was like I mean, it was like the dream. I wasn't actually ever a full-time employee. I was always freelance. So I would just get like, you know, it started, I was doing stuff for Noisy, and then that took, like, which was Vice's music vertical. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah,
industry
gosh.
speak.
Look at us.
I know. And then it kind of built from there. But like, no, I the U-Bot with the sex bot was me and Chris Bethel. And we went to I remember we went to the British Invention Show and presented this, basically what was a Zimmer frame with a pumpkin or a melon with a hole in it, and several sexual paraphernalia attached to it. And we got like, we were surrounded by all these people with their very earnest inventions, being like, and I had a little sign that just had a graph pointing upwards. And they like completely just chucked us out. And I mean, I
feel like that was deserved, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. You've got this guy with like a terrorist-proof manhole cover, and we're next to them, just like, you know.
Yeah, you can fuck the pumpkin.
Yeah, you can fuck a pumpkin. Do you know that? And you can replace the pumpkin once you're done with it. I don't know. Yeah, it was, to be honest, just like I hadn't actually spent much time in the last few years thinking about it, and then when I heard you want to talk about it, I was like, fucking hell, yeah, that was my job.
Yeah, you know, what a fun fucking. But so actually, so it's kind of fair to say that all those kind of early pranks weren't especially political. Like they were just fun and weird. So when you did decide to switch over to more kind of like pointed pranks?
I don't know. I think I just got older. So I guess it's just like, and I think that you know, starting out at a point where I think what happened was I was doing these things and there'd be really quick turnaround, and I knew I had to do a few of them. Then I did my piece about the fake restaurant. Yeah. And
that's the one that blew up, really,
changed the game for me. But before that, I did the one about Fashion Week and Giorgio Peviani, the fake designer. Those two were like back to back. And basically, as I went on, the pranks got more elaborate. And that like meant that almost it became this thing that I wasn't then known for, like something that would be quick. It would be something that would be elongated and like come out of nowhere. So then that sort of changed in my mind. And also that was like what I was getting more success doing, I guess, thinking back. So I initially then, I went from being like silly quick things to like elaborate long quick things. And then, during that time, I guess that with the success of those, like completely changed my life. Was very lucky. And then having more time to work on stuff and getting older, I wanted to make stuff that, I don't know, I guess that's naturally sort of where I went. I still say that I'm trying to make something that I find funny. That definitely hasn't gone.
Yeah.
But I think I enjoy the fact that like it's a fun space to play with the real world with something that's quite silly and juvenile.
And why do you think actually your stupid or funny or whatever like pranks have got so popular? Because again, like say, comparing the early days to how much the Shed stuff blew up and, and obviously Amazon and etc. Like, why do you think, like, is it just that obviously people enjoy pranks but not enough people are making pranky stuff at the moment? Or like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something to, I think it's, because I think prank in itself is like almost... It's so lame, isn't it, a prank?
I feel like I had to write the word prank in my script so many times, and I was like, this feels embarrassing for some reason. Like, I don't really know why, but yeah.
There's something really lame about it, a prank. And I guess it's like, I think it's quite a disarming thing to use if you want to do something. But yeah, I don't know really. I think that I would say that there's way more bad ones than good ones, or like mean-spirited ones. Or I think the target of a prank needs to be like, I guess there's, if it's not punching upwards, then for me there's sort of, it can't really be funny anyway. Yeah. So then it's like, fundamentally. So then it's like, I don't know. I think it's quite a nice thing to use if it's like something that's quite disarming. You're admitting that you are yourself a bit of a fool if you're playing one. Yeah. And like it's fun to like, mess with people or institutions that deserve it in a way that's sort of beneath them. Drag them down to your level and all that.
And and so have you actually managed to ever get some kind of like concrete results from any of the stuff? I don't want to say the word prank again. I've become really self-aware of how many times I've said prank.
Let's prank ourselves into a prank bin.
Let's prank ourselves to death. But so have you ever managed to get concrete results from your pranks?
Yeah. So I weirdly, the Singaporean Parliament used my fake restaurant piece to inform new laws that they made on fake news. Oh, that's something.
That's really cool.
You can you can look it up. It's on YouTube, like the very earnest Parliament session. There's an MP called Edwin Tong, and he's like, having to be like, here is a picture of what you think is a meal, but it's actually an egg on a foot. and they're all kind of, this is pretty funny.
They're all nodding and going, oh.
Yeah. TripAdvisor changed their algorithm. That was the thing.
Ooh.
But they did not, because in public, their right reply, they basically diminished it and said this proves nothing. But then I can't actually verify that really, but just from people who work there and people saying to me that they changed their algorithm. It came through a journalist I know, her friend actually worked on the algorithm and it was, they changed it. And then I think there was something with this Amazon film, which was which I found quite heartening, which was, we end the film with advice from the lawyer throughout the film, and I kind of trick him into giving all the Amazon employees who have signed this NDA a kind of a bit of a basically he says that the NDA doesn't stand up in any real way. It doesn't protect you from, it doesn't stop an employee from reporting wrongdoing, in the profession. And that's been viewed quite a lot. We created a website that lives on. And I don't know how much I can say about this, but there's ongoing things with from our undercover that we did at the Amazon Fulfillment Center in Coventry,
which did show bleak working conditions.
And we stumbled kind of accidentally. I was part of this kind of alleged union busting. I was one of, and out of the sort of 115 new employees on my shift, everyone was a student and everyone was an overseas student other than me and one other person. And that was something that had been kind of alleged but hadn't been proven. And there's ongoing stuff with that. which I can't talk about. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I guess that those things are things that came to mind. Singaporean Parliament to TripAdvisor, Stooge, plus NDAs and undercover stuff. Yeah.
But that's quite fun. It's a thing with like online journalism or online work, isn't it? Where you just end up getting weird results. Also, I think similarly, I once, which is kind of a long story, which I'm not going to tell in total, but I wrote a very gossipy story in the Evening Standard many years ago, which, and like the kind of tail end of that was Narendra Modi giving 10 grand to charity. And it was like,
What?
He'd worn this like really fancy
incredible.
suit, and we'd managed to track down the Savile Row tailor who'd got it made. Because it is really like pinstripe suit, but it said Narendra Modi in tiny letters instead of like actual pinstripes.
No way.
So we're literally in the Londoners' Diary, which is like London's gossip, like society gossip column. We wrote that up, and somehow the leader of the opposition in the Indian Parliament
way.
found that and then asked the question. Yeah, he had to donate the same amount of money to charity, and it was like, what a weird fucking.
That is unbelievable. I mean, that's much better than anything I've had. So there you go.
I know Singapore is now, a haven of like.
It's true. It's very true. Very true.
And so is there actually a world, do you think, in which you kind of turn to more straightforward activism, like more serious stuff, or are you just a professional prankster for life?
I don't think I would call myself an activist, really, to be honest. So I don't think that is something within me. I think I'll just continue making stuff. Like before, I was a writer mainly. Then I went into sort of online docs. Then I've been doing TV. I did Catfish for a few years, a few seasons, and now I've been doing this new Amazon thing. That would be probably like. I'll just make. Hopefully, my career will develop, and I'll make different things that. But again, stuff I don't actually know, because I think that you hope that your worldview somewhat informs what you do, right?
Yeah.
So, could you call that a type of activism? I don't know. It's there's definitely a type of TV person or person in the public eye or something who is like more of a campaigner and an activist kind of. And that's like really valuable. I'm just not sure whether that's me. I think I think they're above what I do. I think I'm down here in the mud.
Having a fun time though.
I am mucking about.
But so are there actually any downsides, do you think, to the kind of like form of work you've chosen for yourself? Like, is there? Do you think you always kind of manage to get your message across efficiently, or Does anything suck?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I did this thing where I sent lookalikes to my interviews for a while, successfully. And I remember my great auntie being like, at Christmas dinner that year, being like, "Are you a lookalike then, are you?" And I was like, this is a bit weird when it turns up at the Christmas dinner table. But I don't know, really. I guess there's something where I've had it quite a lot where employers or people that I could work for or with don't trust me, and that's fun.
I'm sorry to say, I did wonder, like idly yesterday, I was like, is the fucker going to send a lookalike? So I am sorry to say,
you're in there with my great auntie.
Yeah.
It's like a bit of a boy who cried wolf sometimes.
Yeah. But you're going to try to do a grand gesture one day, and then
and
someone's going to be like, no, piss off.
I don't believe it. It'll be like the Pope in the coat picture. Everyone will be like,
oh yeah.
No, they won't, actually. That fooled me. That fooled me
as well. I mean, it was just a different topic. I think that is the first ever AI picture that fooled me.
I wanted to believe.
No, I know, yeah. That was a weird, like, oh God, I'm now an old person on the internet. That I get fooled by fucking AI.
Definitely.
But I guess sort of weirdly talking about being part of that generation. So as we've talked about, your career started at Vice by essentially turning up and me like, can I do wit stuff for like not a lot of money, let's be honest. I was paid by Vice at the time as well. It was not a lot of money. So do you think someone, who's maybe like 10 years younger than you could have a similar kind of career to you now? Or do you think those kind of avenues have been a bit blocked off by just because online media has changed so much and there's maybe not enough space anymore for people to be like, I'm going to do wit stuff and see what happens?
Yeah, I would say that it's probably, in terms of journalism and media, I would say that it definitely feels like there's probably less opportunities. I mean, to be honest, to do the sort of stuff that I do, or did or do, whatever, I feel like there's very few places within the media anyway. It's more, I'd say within entertainment, there's more opportunities for doing the stuff that I would do. Like, I reckon that you could basically, what I'm trying to say is, I think you could say like the TikTok algorithm currently is quite giving as an algorithm, because advertising is not that big on TikTok. So it's not like an Instagram or any Meta company, or Facebook, whatever, where, you know, it's been sold to the highest bidder and now we're presented with something, you know, something else. Or Twitter's beginning to become, well, established that it's sort of changed a lot, you know. And the whole thing with the people who pay for the verification and now being the people whose replies you see is just fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is basically like, where is the room for like an organic growth or something? I can imagine that maybe if you were starting out and you were doing stuff on TikTok or maybe Reddit, it seems like there's a little bit more of a wholesome like movements to their like algorithms where it's a bit more like if you do something then maybe it might actually you might get a chance. Yeah. But that's different. Well, that is all based...
They're not getting paid though, I guess, if they're just doing it on
true.
TikTok.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, you're right actually. TikTok is really hard to monetize. Yeah. Even people who have a lot of followers, like I've got 800,000 followers on TikTok and I've not earned a penny. I've not earned a penny off it.
Really?
Yeah, no. I mean, I haven't tried to monetize it anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't really think that it is a platform whereas if you had that on YouTube, you'd be making a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
And the YouTube algorithm again is another thing. But in terms of I think in terms of media, I don't really. I think that you could maybe partner with like you could go to a Vice, you could go to a. But yeah, Vice is kind of struggling in its own way. It's had another load of layoffs. The department is tiny. There's sort of a UK office now.
But I feel like they're just not, because I remember, so what was it? Like the kind of political nerd equivalent, I suppose, of what you do. So a few years ago, I got them to commission me. So I was in Brussels anyway for something else. And I was like, can I go to the bars of like around the Parliament in Brussels at like just before closing time and do a drunk vox pop with everyone being like, what do you think about Brexit? Like,
really?
And that was really fun. And same as that, I can't believe I got paid to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then it's like that, like the like mischief within you that made you want to do that is like, I think that people meet it on that level and want to read it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of that, but I know what you mean. Like, where would that? If as a writer to begin in Britain now, unless you've, you know, maybe got a lot of connections in your family or whatever, or access to that world, I don't think that you. I think it would be trickier because a lot of all of Vice's flaws, at least, like it sort of gave a bit of a chance to people who weren't from that media sort of world. And there was a little bit of a. I don't know. Loads of my friends and probably our mutuals who worked at Vice. I'm not. And by the way, there's loads of other examples. We could talk about BuzzFeed or whatever, or you know, just Vice is the one that I know because it's the one that I work with. I don't know. I don't think. I don't feel like. I feel like a lot of the people who worked at Vice are now having careers that are quite interesting. And that was almost like it's like an interesting experiment of like if you let people who wouldn't normally have a way in have a go. Does that make sense?
Let them figure something out for themselves and then see what happens. Yeah. I feel like no one's doing that anymore, which is quite sad. But yeah, I worry we've got slightly off topic. So I guess just to finish, so for you, like what would be, you know, what is the kind of platonic ideal of the prank? Like what would be your ideal? Like let's say your next one goes perfectly. Like what does that look like?
Okay, so I think probably all of us who like built a career in, you know, online journalism have a thing where my arbiter of a good idea or a good prank, we can call it, is like whether you can sum it up in a sentence. And my first job was for a music news website writing clickbait. So it was like I would get paid if I got more clicks. So I always like managed trying to distill like very boring topics about boring things like Axl Rose arguing with Slash or whatever into like something that people could click on. So I would say a good idea is always, for me, it's like it passes that test of can I sum it up in a sentence, and I'll pitch it. Basically, pitch is not the right term here, but I'll just say it to my friends and see what their reactions are, and they're like, "Leave me alone." And then, so there's that. It would be something that would and that would test to me whether it was going to travel. Because if it's like if someone's like in the look in their face, it's like a bit of excitement. That would be a good step one for me. Step two, I always think about like visual. I really like Mr. Bean visual comedy, Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton kind of things. So I would be like, does it have like enough visual jokes in it, a prank, so that like, you know, is there an image that you could snap out of it that would tell the story of the prank without having to give any context.
Yeah, they'd just be like instantly funny.
Yeah. Like there's, I hate to, I only reference in my own work here because I'm a narcissist. But there's the thing of the egg on the foot with the shed, where you think it's a delicious. Like high-end Michelin-worthy meal, and the uncropped version of the image is it's an egg on my foot.
Yeah,
and that like is for me. It's like got everything.
That's the height of humour.
No, but it's like from my. Yeah. You asked me about my shit. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's like for me that tells the story of the thing, or whatever that. So it would have to have enough visual gags within it, and then the perfect thing would be that. Yeah, I guess that then it's like back down to like impact, isn't it? And it's like the impact is like whether it will people will organically enjoy it on the internet or on whatever medium, say Channel 4 for this last film. People organically enjoy it. And then the dream then is like, and then the like real joy is like, what the thing that you didn't plan for, like Modi having to donate 10,000 to charity, or like Singaporean Parliament having to earnestly discuss it, like that like those are like the most joyful kind of consequences because you can't plan for them. So I guess that for me, for the kind of thing that I do, that would be like a slam dunk.
Oh, brilliant! Well, that was a really great chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers. I enjoyed it.
Listeners, if you enjoyed this podcast, you can back us on Patreon so we can keep making them. There's a link in the show notes, or just search Bunker Patreon Podcast. For as little as £3 a month, you'll get access to episodes early and without adverts, as well as exclusive merchandise offers. I'm Marie Leconte, and you were listening to The Bunker.